It's just not done, but it's like it's done. The song's written. The song is done. Like there's nothing I need to compositionally like I need to add. But it was just like I could have mixed and mastered it for another 6 months if I wanted to.
Yeah, man. That's one of my things. I think like why I won't say never, but like why I have all these like files that I'm not gonna lie are mostly unfinished, and
Yep.
then they just like don't come out. But like when I hear them, I'm like, why haven't I put this out? I guess it's
Yeah.
just because like I don't know. I'll hear this if there's like one part of it that I can't, that I feel like could be better. I won't put it out, but gotta do it.
Is it easier to not have the glare from my glasses? Should I just take them off?
Do whatever
Let's
you
take them.
want, man.
Okay. If I end up needing them, I'll just put them back on.
Alrighty. All right, now just a little precursor. I'm really proud of this outline that I put together, but
I'm proud of it too, man.
thank you, man. But dog, just to be totally transparent, first time I've ever done this, so my anxiety has been cooking. It'll probably go down throughout
Mm,
the interview, but if I seem nervous, that's why. But
gotcha. No, man, it looks sick. It looks sick. You're putting in the time. This is awesome, dude.
hell yeah, I appreciate it, man. All right, let me get recording here. We are live on YouTube and Twitch. What is up, everybody? It's Taff from Primetime with Taff and Phil, and today I am here with California-based vocalist, producer, DJ, overall multi-hyphenate artist Raymond Amaya, aka Big Mungus, aka Maymung. He just released his debut album, Maymung Sucks, but the album definitely doesn't. It's featuring artists like Melissa Brooks, Race Car Bed, Glitter Beach, and longtime collaborator Michi. He's been working on the album since January of 2022, and it is finally here. It's available on all streaming platforms, so be sure to go check that out. Raymond, Maymung, Mungus, I'm so glad we got you here. So glad that you were able to make the time. Thank you for that. How you feeling, man?
What an intro, man. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you
Yeah,
for
of
the kind
course.
words, man. Man.
Um,
Oh man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. I'm really happy my album's done. I'm really happy we're finally doing this interview. It's really cool to finally get done.
yeah, man. It's kind of like months in the making. From
Yeah.
one thing I was thinking about that's wild is from the Reddit thread like 4 years ago during quarantine, we made Ignorance is Bliss, and
Yeah.
now it's here. I'm hype about it. And one thing I'm wondering is, so like, I know you've always repped California. I don't know where you came from exactly, but what about that scene sort of birthed you as an artist?
Yeah, man. I've lived here my entire life. I grew up here from Orange County, and I've lived in Orange County for I'm 27, so I've been here for 25 years. I moved away slightly for a short time when I was in middle school. I moved away to Las Vegas with my family. Ended up moving back with my extended family. So, um, yeah, man, it's this place is cool. I think the energy of this place is there's a lot of different things happening. Um, there's a lot of different like ethnic groups and cultures that like really influence this idea of like you can kind of just do whatever you want. Like you're you're 30 minutes away from Los Angeles, which is the end goal for hundreds of thousands and millions of people who have big dreams. And the fact that
Mhm.
like we're so close to that proximity, it really adds to that idea of like if you want to do something, like it's there. You could kind of achieve that if you work at that. And that was something that like kind of I got into very early on. It was like I started making music because I really liked EDM. I really liked stuff that I was listening to. That was like my friends would show me like dance music stuff. They were like, and their older siblings were going to like warehouse raves and stuff like that in LA. And yeah, man, that's how I got started. It's like I started hearing uh, different EDM stuff, and it was like at the time it was like 2011. It was like eighth grade. It was like
Mm-hmm.
hardcore electronic, like punk mixture. And I grew up listening to alternative rock, like, and that was like always my favorite. So when I
Yeah.
finally heard stuff like Justice for the first time, like that first Cross record, like that Mastercraft, Bloody Beetroots, like early Steve Aoki stuff, like I remember hearing this and being like, whoa, like EDM, like crazy basses and like hard drums, sick guitar riffs. And I remember just like being so like excited by that and being like, I need to learn how to make that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a guitar. I can't afford a guitar. I can't afford a keyboard. But I have a computer.
Yeah.
And I just started like for years I just started looking up like uh online music software, and then like whatever would give me a trial for like music software down the line. So like when I was 15, I downloaded Ableton for the first time, and I've been on that ever since. So yeah, your question was what is it about this place that kind of like harbors that? Everything, man. Uh it's everything wrapped into one. It's like it's kind of awesome. It's also very boring, but also like people from Orange County are very problematic and very like there's a lot of racism and hatred here that like you naturally just want to fight against. Just
Mm-hmm.
like if you have any empathy at all, like you have any empathy at all, like you can link up with the right people and you can make something, you could say something that like actually will get heard, which is really nice. I feel really fortunate that like I live where I do and I do what I do, and people listen and give me opportunities to talk, man. It's crazy.
That's awesome. That seems like this perfect storm of inspiration, honestly. Even though, from a life standpoint, it's not all great, you have this desire to stand up for what you believe in. You said you have the reminder that, like LA sort of serves as this place that reminds you that you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
And also, I was wondering, you said like around eighth grade, that's when you started getting like really inspired by this stuff. When was eighth grade for you? Because I'm 23.
Ah, yeah, I'm 27, so that was 2000. Damn, you're 23.
Yeah,
You look great, man.
appreciate
I
it.
didn't. Damn, what? How old were you when we were making music?
Like 19,
Like,
maybe
jeez,
younger.
that's awesome. Oh man, damn. Yeah,
And you look good too, man. You're
when
killing it.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, I was in eighth grade in like I think 2010 to 2011. So like it was right after that, like it was going into where EDM would become mainstream. So I kind of got into it like at a perfect time where it's like it was still like kind of niche, but then it started growing into something way bigger. And it eventually would be on like top 50 radio all the time. And like it was just like whoa, like that's and some of my favorite artists were birthed from that time too, like Maddie and Porter Robinson. When I was listening to Zed at the time, like that, like
Mm-hmm.
I Zed was like I worshipped him, man. Like that really made me like music. That was like I was like, oh, that's real music. This is real music. Like I I I have to do this. I have to do that. So like for the first few years of my life, it was like I'm just trying to be Zed.
Yeah, man. I was reading your Apple Music bio, and your three favorite albums of
Oh
all time
man,
that you listed at least are Folie à Deux by Fall Out Boy,
yeah,
Clarity by Zed, and Good Faith by Maddie. You said that Good Faith was
yes.
perfect. I don't know if you put that on the same echelon, but dude, I went and listened to Good Faith by Maddie. That album is a vibe, man. And Clarity, it's
I don't
just
play about that album, dude.
yeah. That album is freaking awesome. Dream, Dream, Dream has been on repeat. Miracle, Mania. Oh, that album's freaking sweet. Um, and Clarity for me is so nostalgic by Zed. But
That's a perfect album. That's a
yeah,
perfect album.
that that album is like to call it the infancy of EDM feels disrespectful to it, but like I guess
No,
influential is the right word for it.
yeah. It like the thing about Clarity is that album was light years ahead of anything that was coming out at the time. It was like, oh, you're getting me started. You're getting me started.
Let's go.
That dude, oh man, okay. So if you want to get into it, like just a little bit, EDM at the time, like, was kind of rudimentary. It was, and that was exciting to me. A lot of the sounds were a little lo-fi. Everyone was kind of using the same sample packs, and the structure of things were normal. It was like intro, because it's for DJs. It's like you do an intro of a song, you have a little bit of a breakdown, you have a big old drop, and then you do it again, and then you have a drum outro. And Zed came through, and he wasn't the first to break the cycle, but like, damn, did he break through in such an incredible way. He worked with like incredible songwriters. He worked with like incredible mixing and mastering engineers. That still is his best sounding album, one of the best sounding albums ever. I'll put that toe to toe with anything. Sound design, production, songwriting, mixing and mastering. Like, oh man, dude, that album, like, it yeah, I wouldn't say it was like the infancy of things, but it for sure like pushed through in a new way when we were getting songs like, of course, like Clarity, which top hit, beautiful, everyone knows it, everyone loves it. But my favorite, like, it's in the contender for my favorite song of all time is Spectrum. That's on that album. um Bro, I remember the first time I heard it. I was sitting at home. I was sitting at home, and it was summer break. It was going into my sophomore year, so I was 14, and I'm watching YouTube on my TV, and I remember I was getting ads for this song, and I hate ads. I you know I
Yeah, I'm
no,
not
I
a
don't
fan.
do ads in this house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I heard this song, I was like, "Who's this asshole? Like, I'm not listening to this. Like, I'm no way, dude." And then I remember I was like, I'll click on it, whatever. And I clicked on it, and I heard that intro, those magical sounds, this chimes. Like, dude, go back and listen to that song, because that song like changed my life. I remember it was one of the few times in my life where like I got crazy goosebumps just from listening to that song. Like, it felt like
Man,
magic. Like, it felt like a little kid going into a magic store, and like, them giving you the works. It was magic
that
for
is
me, man. It
awesome.
was it was incredible.
That
Yeah,
makes me want to go back and
that
listen to
album's
that
nuts.
one right now. I will be tuning into that one again for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to ask was, so like with your favorite albums being Fall Out Boy's Folie Adu,
Yeah.
Zed's
Yeah.
Clarity, and Good Faith by Madeon, what elements from those albums do you catch yourself trying to bring into your own music?
Oh man, it's so cool you asked. It's so cool because Folie Do is my favorite Fall Out Boy record. I don't know if Fall Out Boy is my favorite band, but they for sure. Oh man, I keep reaching for my glasses. Like,
If you want to throw them on,
um,
throw them on.
no, it's just a phantom. It's a phantom grab. No, it's better I leave them off.
All right,
Um,
cool.
Folie Do, yeah, Folie Do is awesome. It's so cool. It's still emo pop punk vibe. But they took the songwriting in such an incredible like left direction. They worked with really cool producers. They worked with they had a lot of really cool features on that album too. Like, I mean, at the time, I listened to that album maybe like 100 times before I realized that like Lil Wayne was on it. Like that's just like that's like, yeah, it's crazy. And then like I listened to it like 150 times before I realized that like Pharrell produced one of the songs. Like, I
Wow.
love Pharrell. I instantly recognize the production. Yeah, but those guys are like crazy, dude. Like, if you look into the history of Fall Out Boy, and like them being signed to like Def Jam, them like all the stuff that they had went through, like, it's not something regular bands did at the time. And I think like that speaks to like where they were in that like cultural echelon of alternative and pop punk and emo music. But yeah, Folie Do, like I said, it's awesome because Folie Do, Good Faith, Clarity. Um, my album, Maymung Sucks, it spans, it tells a big story. It's partially inspired by um, how I was feeling at the time a couple of years ago, working where I was, um, and the frustrations that were born of that, and how I was able to find myself out of that. I was working at a cheesecake factory, um, and dude, it sucked. I was
I
working at
bet that.
Cheesecake Factory and Coffee Bean. I had two jobs. I still was like living check to check. Um, it was hard, dude. It was like I hated my job. I hated like what I was doing. That's where hate comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it like I was just so frustrated, man. And I didn't like my job. I didn't like what I was doing. I would come home and like at the time there was like still leaks in my house, like in my room. Luckily that's been fixed since then, and I also don't work at these places anymore.
Well, that's good. I'm happy
uh,
for you.
yeah, yeah, and there's nothing wrong. I love the Cheesecake Factory. I avocado egg rolls on. I'll tear them up.
Uh,
Don't play with me. But it was just me working there. I think at the time it's like I didn't really want to be there. I think they have like this corporate attitude of like just come in, do your job, get out of here. Where it's like I kind of wanted to form relationships with my
exactly.
coworkers and like friendships and partnership, and like I wanted to, and they didn't really care about that. So I was like, okay, I did. I would go out in my car at lunch and scream in my goddamn car. I would scream my head off because I was so frustrated, and eventually had to stop because people were looking at me weird. I didn't want them to call the cops. That's what I was doing in my lunch break.
Wow.
And I would just dream, like I would just daydream. I would just be like, damn, like I wish that like I wasn't here right now. I'm at the time I was 25, so I was like, I'm 25. I'm wasting my time, you know, working on things that I don't want to do. I want to make a dope album. I was listening to Maddie and I was listening to Good Faith at the time a lot over and over and over because I was in between his live shows. I love his live shows, dude. Like if yeah, like hearing that album is one thing, but then hearing the live versions of those songs is another.
Wow.
Incredible.
I was thinking I want to see Matty on live. Is he in LA a lot? Or
Yeah, yeah. I think he lives here part time, or maybe full time. The guy's pretty secretive, and that's good. I try not to like,
oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. But he plays here a lot. I know he's working on another album right now. Um, yeah, dude. But like those Good Faith shows, they're on YouTube, and they're so worth it, bro. Like I went to four of those shows, and probably second best show I've ever seen in my life.
Top notch, man.
First was him and Porter Robinson, their shelter tour. So, but back to it. It was Phantom Grab. Back to it. So what I was saying was, when I was sitting in my car and I was freaking out. I was just like thinking about like, damn, like how did I get to this point, and like what can I do to get out of it? Like what work do I have to put in? Um, and so tying it back to the albums that I love. Um, the album that I wrote, I for sure wanted to be an expression of what I was feeling at the time with my job and like with my life, but also I wanted it to be a like all my music is a love letter to what came before me and what inspires me. Um, the album follows my musical journey throughout life and also my journey through of self. Um, so it starts off with like very heavy alternative rock, uh, hate, sprinkled
Mhm.
in with some hyper pop elements, but like for sure I wanted it to be mainly like the things I was listening to as a kid, like on the rock radio or like listening to songs on like Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Um, it was very like heavy like rock based stuff, and I tried to capture that. Going into the second song, "No Money," is Fall Out Boy. That song is Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
It's Fall Out Boy mixed with one of my favorite artists right now, Underscores. It was like the way that Fall Out Boy has always influenced me. Has always been in like their songwriting, their vocal style, their like willingness to be heavy, but also to be like beautiful. I do a lot of like vocal harmonies within my music. Most of that was extremely inspired by Fall Out Boy, and their incredible vocal arrangements in any song that they do. Um, so like that's where Folia Do lives in that album. throughout it goes from like alternative rock to like kind of just rock music, and then it goes into like it starts inching its way into electronic, like how it did in my life. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
get to Infatuation, which is probably my favorite song on the album, don't quote me. Um,
Gotcha.
that's Zed, bro. That's like breaking into Zed, into like Tyler the Creator, into Zed again. It's like
Into like I oh my bad to step on your answer there. I
no, no, I love it. I love it.
For Infatuation, it reminds me like I love Infatuation. The reason I love this whole album is because come on camera, focus for me. But uh the I, to me that guitar in the beginning, it's still Fallout Boy. It's still
Yeah,
um I don't know, like some rock group that I can't think of. But the like
yeah, it's
the
for sure super math rocky. I was trying to do like a mixture of like of Breckens, but also keep it very very alternative rock, very emo rock, like because I still wanted that familiarity with the songs that were coming before. It's because it's
mhm,
still very alternative, it's still very rock in that part, and then it shifts into an electronic drop. It was like,
mhm.
where did this song go? The song went totally left. So yeah, it's super influenced by Breckens, but also like yeah, like I said, like Fall Out Boy, different bands too, like math rock bands basically.
Yeah. One thing I love about uh, the album, particularly No Money and
Yeah,
Infatuation, is that transition. It's like on No Money, I feel like when I hear that drop, like I mean, it opens with that kind of heavier, almost arena rock, Fallout Boy esque guitar, and
yeah,
then it switches into bonk bonk, give me a break, like the
yeah,
it's so dancey, and that drop is like Porter Robinson esque to me,
yeah,
and
yeah, for sure. It's exactly it, man.
yeah, and I was gonna ask, but you already basically answered it. I was gonna say like the lyrics like sick of where I am, doing all that I can. I need more than I'm given. I refuse to live like this on Infatuation. And then took my break into my car today. I wanted to get away. I did it so I
Yep.
could scream and no one would hear me. Um, the dude. By the way, I freaking feel ya, man. Working for corporations, I worked at Carrabba's for a little bit. That was no
Oh
fun.
man.
Um, but so were there any? Oh wait a minute. So why call the album Maymung Sucks?
Yeah, man. I had a lot of ideas. I had a couple. So writing the album was crazy. I wrote like 3 albums before I settled on like the main idea and the main thing. And I remember I had big dreams of like I wanted it to be personal. I knew that. I knew that like the album name and the direction and all of it had to be very true to what I was doing and who I am. Um, because like if I knew that if I was gonna make an album, it had to be personal because I always had this thing of like I'm not gonna make an album until I'm a huge signed artist and they give me a multi-million-dollar budget. And that's like that was my thought process for like 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
um, and then I was like, you know what? No, I have to release an album. I have to just do it myself. So I remember thinking like it's got to be personal. I remember the way I looked was important. It was like I don't want to dye my hair. I don't want to have to like. I want it to be very like this is me. This is who I am, and the album reflects that. So the first couple names I had for the album, like before Maymung Sucks, before the idea was there, was like like I said, I wrote like a couple like hyperpop projects. It was like one of them was called Güero because that's what my mom calls me, like
Mm-hmm.
white Mexican, like very light skin. Um, one of them was oh man, it was Güero. It was I really loved Death of the American Blue Collar Dollar. That was like I was like I'm a goddamn poet. I'm genius.
Mm-hmm.
And that luckily those lyrics that line for sure still made it into to No Money. I love that line. The
Yep.
the blue collar dollar ain't what it's supposed to be. Like it's because it's so true. So I remember
Yeah.
that was the second album I wrote was Death of the American Blue Collar Dollar, but it just didn't go anywhere. And then finally it was like I didn't think about the name, I didn't think about like the vision of it. I just wrote the story and the songs. And I sat there for like so long, like for months, man. I was like, what do I call this? Like, what do I name it? I was thinking about naming it like off of one of the songs, but I was like, that doesn't seem cool. Um, and I thought about the root of like where my artist name comes from too, Maymung, which is like that's a name that my friends came up with to make fun of me. we're
Oh,
all
really?
we're pretty like mean spirited guys, and we like we'll get each other. We love each other, but we'll get each other.
Yeah.
Um, and that's where Maymung comes from. It's like I think I dropped chocolate on my shirt one time, and Michi was like, "Oh, Raymond's being Maymung dropped Nutella on his brand new white T-shirt," and everyone laughed at me, and then that just kind of stuck. So the reason I chose Maymung as my artist name as well is because like I wanted it to be like making music for my friends, and that's how I see like making art, making music was like if anyone ever has anything bad to say about me or like is like is like Maymung freaking blows, I hate his music, whatever, it just sounds like my friend making fun of me,
Yeah.
you
That's
know.
good.
So that's kind of that's sort of like where I got the album name from too, where it's like Maymung Sucks, like I'll say it before you do, that way like everyone like you know what I mean, like where it's like that's just funny. Comedy does play like a big role in like my life, and then in also in my art. There's a couple funny moments in the album too, so it's like yeah, I don't know, it was like that was my Instagram handle for a long time,
Hmm.
and I was like, what if I
I'm
just
pretty
call it
sure it
that, and all
still
my
is,
friends were
right?
like
Or is it just Maymung now?
yeah, yeah, that's still my Instagram handle. So it was like um I told my friends, I was like, what about that, and they go, yeah, that sounds good, and they're like, you suck. Yeah. so so that's yeah, that's where that comes from, man.
Widow Maymung on the microphone.
Uh-oh.
No, no, where am I here? But yeah, that's dope, man. I was gonna ask also, like, is there anything outside of of music that inspires your art? Like you said, comedy does.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like yeah, for sure comedy. Man, I have a lot that inspires me. I love comic books. Um, a lot of I feel like my sense of morality came from like getting detention in high school, and then just reading comic books over and over. I used to get detention on purpose just to read comic books, like in detention, because our library was right next to our detention room. I used to I would just be late to school on purpose so I could read comics all day. A lot of like what I believe in, like yeah, like I said, like morality wise, does come from like growing up with Spider-Man movies and Batman movies and like and stuff like that. Of like you got to do good, you got to do good by people because people are inherently good. like
Hmm.
um, and so and if you get to a point of responsibility, like you should be able to help people. So that was cool. Yeah, like I said, comic books inspire me, movies inspired me. Um, like I wrote the way that I wrote like the outline for the album. Um, I used Final or what is it? I used a screenwriting software, and I used like their beat board, and like I just like I planned out the album like you would a movie, like you would a script, where you have little bubbles of like, okay, this is what happens in this scene, this is what happens in this scene, and this will be the overarching chapter of that. And so I literally planned out the album just like I would a movie. Um, and so that was cool. I love how like I just like art, man. I like how artists create things. I my first love of art was like drawing, and so there's a lot of things that I bring with me into music that I learned like from drawing, like sketching out a quick idea, get that down before you try to paint a whole piece. Same thing with music for me. It's like sketching a song together would be like getting the chords right and then maybe getting a melody on top. Maybe if it's not even lyrics yet, it's you're just sketching an idea. Same with like cooking too, right? Like I got into cooking very much so while I was writing my album, and I found it so similar to making music, like
Yeah.
using different spices to like flavor a pasta to me was almost like, oh, that's kind of cool because like the process is the same. You start with something that you want to be able to make, and then maybe you don't go into it with like exact measurements. You go into it with an idea of what you want to do. So adding, to a red sauce pasta, maybe adding like chopped up garlic and red pepper flakes and a little bit of oregano is the same as writing a heavy bass tune and being like, oh, you know what if I do a glitch here, or what if I do like a really warm bass sound here. To me it was very similar um to making music, cooking. It was yeah, super super inspiring, super like I for sure thought about that a lot while writing the album of like, does this need more flavor, does this need a little more oomph to
Yeah,
something,
a
like in the
little more
same way that you would make it
pizzazz.
a little more spice.
Yeah. I've thought
Yeah,
that like a similar thing, like cooking, like making music and cooking. There's I feel like they show the beauty to creativity with like I don't know. With cooking, it's not like baking. I don't know if you've ever tried to like bake a cake before, but if you mess up one
sure,
step, it's over. It's over for you.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the cake's not going to be good. But with
no,
cooking and like the same as making music, yeah, it allows you to experiment. It allows you to make this ensemble of stuff and truly create something new, which
yeah, absolutely. You can make a mistake, like you can like, there's freedom in that. There's freedom in like, maybe maybe I forgot to add pasta water to the I keep using pasta. Yeah,
I'm
but maybe it's like,
a
yeah,
big
it's
pasta
you
guy.
can make a mistake and find a, yeah, me too, man. Yeah, you can make a mistake and find a way to fix it. And maybe end up with something brand new, something totally different than what you expected to do, or something like, um, yeah, man. So it's very similar, very very awesome.
Yeah, it's freaking sweet. The what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to ask was I read that one of your earliest music memories was when "It Wasn't Me" by Shaggy would come on the radio, and your
Yeah.
mom turned it off, and you vividly remember yourself crying. Does that song have a certain effect on you today? And also, is mom a fan?
Mom's a huge fan. My mom is one of my biggest supporters.
Oh, I mean, that's also. But is mom a fan of Shaggy? I'm sorry about that.
Oh, dude, yeah, man. My mom's music taste is way more hardcore than mine.
Really?
Um, my mom, like, yeah, dude. My mom grew up like straight chola, like from the '90s. Like, she's been a hardcore gangbanging like her whole life. I'm so vanilla compared to my mom. I used to have to tell my mom like, please turn. I was a baby. I was a little kid. I was like, Mom, please turn the damn music down. I don't want to listen to SPM right now. I hate SPM. Like, dude sucks. Man, he makes like such. I can't stand that dude.
Who's
He
SPM?
she's listening. Chicano rapper, low key a piece of crap, just absolute terrible person. And he
Oh,
just he rapped about the most insane stuff, dude. Like, I don't even want to. It's just, my mom loved it. My mom, like, and even then too, like my mom showed me a lot of cool stuff too. Like my mom was really into Linkin Park. That was we used to sing Linkin Park together. Like we scream our heads off. I was like 5. We would just drive around the city and we would scream to Linkin Park. It was cool, man. But what I was saying, yeah, mom loves Shaggy, but I think at the time it was just like, I remember being in a car seat, and I remember like that song coming on and her turning it off. I don't even know if she turned it off just because it was nasty, or just because like she was just like, I don't want to listen to this pop crap. And
oh,
then
okay.
I remember just like screaming my head off, being like, no. And then I would keep crying until they turned it back on, and then I remember like dancing to it, and I remember like my mom and stepdad just like turning around and laughing. So yeah, like that. Mom, yeah, I'm sure mom like loves It Wasn't Me. She loves the classics.
That's awesome. And you said your mom's a big supporter too, which is freaking sweet.
Yeah, yeah,
Love that.
yeah. She's always supported me. She's like, like all especially throughout high school too. She's just always told me to like yeah follow my dreams and stuff like that. So I've been really and not just my mom too, but like my aunt and uncle who I've lived with since I was 12. They were always really supportive of like what I was doing. Yeah man they're always like always coming to shows and giving love and sharing my songs and talking to me about it. Not just that like I kind of was raised by a lot of people. It wasn't just like yeah it was like my mom, my aunt and uncle, my godparents, like they're always like giving me love and sharing my stuff. Also like my friends parents too, that was like a big thing for me was like we all kind of grew up together, and so it was like I would I was always at my friend's house and their parents would support us too, like they love our music. So yeah, there's a lot of support and love that come from in my life that like I'm super super grateful for.
That's awesome. I love that. I feel like I mean, when people have an like a clearly supportive background, it's kind of obvious, but it's so much easier to believe in yourself that way. And
Yeah,
yeah, people don't come together enough today, and that's awesome. And that reminds me of
yeah.
Michi. Y'all have known each other since what year did y'all meet?
We met in eighth grade. I love telling the story of how we met because it will change depending on whether or not you ask me or him.
Okay.
Um, we had a mutual friend. And when I moved back to California in eighth grade, I left in fifth grade, came back in eighth grade, so it was like a whole new world. It was like I left at the tail end of elementary school and came back, and we were already blossoming on teenagers. My best buddy at the time when I was in fifth grade was like same size as me when I came to school, and he's like 6'2", and I'm like 5'7" at the time. And he introduced me to my buddy Dimitri, and Dimitri's always been a big boy, and I made a joke. I said something, and he dropped his backpack and shoved me. Boom! And this is my third day of school, and I fought a little bit when I was in Las Vegas. I got into a few fights, so I was like, okay, it's on then. So I drop my backpack and I square up, and I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to beat his ass. And my buddy, I like to say that my buddy jumped in front of me and said, "Don't hurt him! Don't hurt him!" Dimitri says that our buddy jumped in front of me and said, "Wait, don't do it. He'll kick your ass." So there's a little misinterpretation there on both of our parts, but that we basically started as enemies. But like any great shonen,
Wait, so that
um,
is Michi.
we
Dimitri is Michi.
yeah
That's
yeah
hilarious.
yeah that's our Michi. Yeah, that's what we call him, Big Michi. Um, he yeah. So we started as enemies, and then slowly we would hang out here and there, have mutual friends, and then it was like one day in like sophomore year when we were 15. It took a couple years. I was like, "Do you want to come over to my house and play DJ Hero?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then he came over and we like opened up Ableton and started working on music there. So we've been making music for years. Um, we didn't release a song together until 2019.
Yes.
Reasoning for that being, um, and it ties into my album too, which is so funny. I always wanted to just be the best at what I was doing. I wanted to like really make something incredible that people would look at and like my career would jumpstart and like all of this. I was had a lot of delusions of grandeur when I was younger, um, and so it stopped me from releasing music. Like I released a couple songs, but like I really sat on like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs on my hard drive um, that did nothing. And then in 2019, my laptop broke, and I was so devastated. Luckily, I got all that music back, but I remember talking to Dimitri about it. I was like, dude, like I have nothing to my name. If like I died tomorrow as an artist, like I got nothing. Um, I was like, I need to make something. So that's when I started the Maymung project. I changed my I had a little DJ name. We're not gonna talk about it. I I was like, I'm gonna make real music, not just EDM, not just stuff for to DJ.
Mm.
I'm going to make music that's like pop and rock and electronic, whatever I want to do. Because I felt like I had spent all these years learning how to make music, and I was like, I could pretty much do anything at this point. So let's just make something. And I remember I was working on a beat. He came over, started. He was like, I have a flow to that, and then he jumped on it, and we made Sweatshirt in like 3 days. And I still played that at like a show last week. Like people still love that song. Like yeah, man, I'm really lucky to have Michi because like since then, yeah, we've made music together. We started a band Chicachino together, um, with our buddy Jacob. So we, yeah, man, Dimitri is indispensable. He's an incredible friend, incredible artist. He's like my brother, dude. Like, yeah, he's beside he's one of the most important people to my life.
That is awesome. I love that. Yeah, Michi. It's so funny. Michi basically said the same thing about you to me.
Oh,
The um just like with the support and with the laptop. One thing that occurred to me that was interesting was like it kind of ties back to those like beauties of creativity, how these unplanned things can somehow that seem terrible in the moment can turn into something great. With your laptop breaking, who knows if Sweatshirt would have become a song. And like he was like it was all gas no brakes from there, with the way you
yeah,
just mentioned how like all right, you kind of elevated your sound from just like something you could DJ to something. When you said realer music, I assumed like you added vocals or something, right? Or
yeah,
you just
yeah.
like got more
I mean,
ambitious with it.
I when I say like not that EDM isn't real music. I love EDM
Oh
with
yeah,
my
me
whole
too.
heart. But I think at the time I was like I just felt it was so stagnant and stale coming out of like high school where it's like when I first got into electronic music and stuff like that, it was like there was so many different flavors. It was you could be punk or you could be super preppy or you could do something like there was all these different things that you could do. And then coming out of it from like high school, it was like everything sounded the same. Um, all like there was a bunch of big room house stuff that like it was like so stale. I was
Mm.
so unhappy with it. And I remember because at the time when my laptop did break, I was in college and I was learning a whole bunch of new stuff. I took like a history of rock class, started listening to the Beatles. I used to be a big Beatles hater, and
Really?
then I started listening to stuff. Yeah, I used to start. Then I started listening to stuff beyond their pop albums. Got into like their experimental stuff, and like that changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. Um, I'm a big Beatles supporter within a frame time. Time, yeah. And then I started listening like to Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson. I started listening a lot to just different types of music, different stuff that I was never really listening to. Um, and so I remember like being like, "Ah, man, I'm still only making like this specific type of EDM." And when it broke, like you said, dude, like I don't know, man. Like I don't know where I'd be if I we didn't have that happen. If I didn't have to like bust ass for like I had to work for like 3 or 4 months to be able to raise up the money just to fix the laptop because I spilled water on it, dude. That's what's
Oh.
the most annoying thing about it is I was getting ready for school and I had a cup of water and I was like, oh, I gotta go to school. And I like the water spilled over and I just got a drop. It was just a drop, but that was enough to rust the copper that's inside of the laptop. And I took it. I
Oh
it
my
wasn't turning on.
gosh.
I took it to the store and they're like, yeah, dude, that's gonna be like $600 to fix. And I was like, ugh. And when I was going to school mostly full time, and I like was working, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna have to pick up shifts. I'm gonna have to miss class to be able to like go do this. Like, I'm gonna be so tired. And it was also like holiday season, so I had to buy people gifts, and then also get
Oh
like,
man.
yeah. So I remember like working, and I didn't hate the job. I was just like, I don't want to do this, man. Like, I want to make art. And that was the worst. I think that was the worst part about it is I did have an acoustic guitar, but I didn't play it well. I was mostly on piano, but I only have like a MIDI keyboard, so it
Mm.
wasn't like it doesn't make its own sounds. So I was devastated because I couldn't write music,
Mm.
and because I was like I couldn't express myself for those couple months, it was like it was getting bottled up. And I remember telling Dimitri, I was like, dude, like when that laptop comes back, like we just gotta go for it. We gotta just like nonstop, make art, like make music, make digital art. Like I wanna do it all, and I still want to do it all. But so at the time, like you said, dude, like the creativity that like was born from the frustration of not being able to do it. The greatest limitation of all, which was not being able to do it. I was swimming with ideas. Um, and since then, man, yeah, it's like like making the album was the longest gap I've had not releasing stuff since I started making music under Maymung. I'm always striving to push myself over and over and over and over.
That is, I love that, man. And one thing you said, like, you mentioned everything kind of sounding the same now. That's what I love to look for in music today, because I feel like with TikTok, Reels, everything feels like it's been homogenized in a way.
Sure.
Everybody, like, if you ask somebody what music they listen to today, they'll hit you with the, oh, I listen to everything. And like,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
cool. But like, I don't know, I feel like your album, in a way, I'm riffing right now, but it's just it just brings a fresh sound, man. I love it because you combine the
Thank
rock,
you.
the rap, the pop, the um. Where is this? We've actually okay. I've got one. So for this new album, what do you want listeners to feel when they turn on Maymung Sucks?
I I want them to feel like they're hanging out with me. Like if you listen to my album and it feels like um you're hanging out with me for the day,
Mm,
I've accomplished what I'm doing. I'm just trying to give like my truest expression in the coolest way possible. Um I mean, I hope that people do listen to what I'm saying too on the album, because like I think there's something to be said, especially within the middle half of it, where it's not just me expressing how I feel, but how I feel outwardly, and how we don't have to keep doing things just because that's how they've been done. We don't have to like keep buying into and without getting so into it. We don't have to
mm,
keep continuing like living in the way that we do like in our society just because like older people decided that was so. If
yeah.
we want to change things, like we have every right to. We literally have the right to in this country, um, by any means necessary.
Mm,
So uh, and especially with like how things are looking like they're going to turn out for the next few years, like yeah, man, we gotta organize, we gotta get our communities together, and I talk about that in the record, especially on Wake Up. But like, yeah, I and truthfully too, like going post that, like going into the song with Melissa Brooks and Glitter Beach, like with all it or sorry, that was the old song, the old name for it, Devilman. I talk about like my feelings of anger that people don't want to do that. That
yeah.
like it almost feels like we're living in like this like cycle, and I talk about cycles a lot, like terrible cycles that you get caught in a lot in the album.
Mm,
um it's just like it feels like we're supposed to have broken this a long time ago and no one's doing anything about it. And like I'm not in any position to be able to change anything for anybody, but if I can bring something up that like sparks an idea that helps someone think about something, like I did my job tenfold, dude. Like,
mm.
yeah.
Like to be able to help the listener understand themselves more through that. That's sweet.
If that's what they get out of my expression, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, or the oh, what was I gonna say? The crap. My bad. I'm figuring
No,
this out.
you're good.
Um
You're good. Yeah, I hate getting tongue twisted on words, man.
the oh, what was I gonna say? Man, I swear I had a really good question that I came up with from something you said.
Yeah.
The Crap. I don't know.
That's okay. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
All right, cool. But one thing I did want to ask is how'd you meet Melissa Brooks? Because like all of your connections in the scene are growing, and there's all
Dude,
these new
Melissa's,
collaborators.
yeah, she's changed my life, man. She is the coolest, most awesome, like selfless, loving person.
Yeah.
Um, it's so funny, dude. Like I was hanging out with my buddy, and we were going to like we went to a 100 Gex show, and I remember that's when I first heard her name. He brought her up. He goes, "Uh, dude, I'm talking to this girl. She makes music," and I was like, "Oh no way, cool." He goes, "Yeah, she's really cute. I'll probably hang out with her next week." And I was like, "Okay." And then we linked up again like the next week, and he goes, "Dude, she's got like a bunch of followers, and her music's incredible." And I was like, "Okay, well, tell her to let's make music." And then he was like, "Okay, I'll tell her in a month." And I was like, "What?" And he played the long game basically. He was like, "I'm going to slowly get us involved and make sure that me and her are solid, and then we'll make music together." And they
Yeah.
absolutely, they're still together. They very much like formed an incredible relationship. They're so supportive of each other. They're awesome. And yeah, I finally got to like I remember Melissa came over, and we were playing Fortnite, and I was like on my computer. I was just making music. She freestyled a Fortnite freestyle over like one of my beats. And
Mhm.
it was one of the beats I was working on for like one of the original one of the albums before Maymung Sucks. And I was like, "Oh my god, that song still hasn't come out. Where it's gonna the that song that she freestyled on, like we ended up turning into a real song, and it will come out very soon. We're still working on it.
Awesome.
It's been a while, but yeah, dude, she just like I I I was almost like pissed off because she gets on the mic, and it was like she knocks it out of the park. She just absolutely like freestyled a hilarious but like really cool, really good freestyle, and I was like, how did you do that? And then yeah, and then we would eventually go on to make music together, and same thing, dude. Like her as a writer, she is like next level. I aspire to
Mhm.
get to that level of like she hears a beat, she's an incredible vocalist, so she'll hear a dope melody on top, and then she'll just start writing, and she writes so fast. It's very intimidating because we've written like I on the song that we are going to write that we're going to release together, where like I am featured on that song. It was like it was like she wrote her stuff so quickly. She wrote like a verse, pre-chorus, a chorus, and then I was on the next verse. And I remember I had to write super fast, and I was like, it was the fastest I've ever written anything. And it's I'm excited for that song to come out. I don't know what I think it's called Graveyard. We'll see if that's what it's going to remain. But yeah, she's awesome. She's incredible. She's introduced me to a lot of people. She's let me work on her last EP. I produced her entire EP.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So those songs, a couple of them were originally on one of my original albums that I ended up scrapping, but I still loved those beats. I still loved those songs, and she liked them too. And she's into that hyper pop stuff, so she was like, let's use those." And she just absolutely killed it. Like the song "Bubbles" was originally on my record.
Mhm.
"Graveyard," which will come out, was originally on my record, and then the other songs we wrote custom for her. She's so sick. She's so awesome. She's like dope producer. She's a dope musician, vocalist, DJ. She taught me how to DJ. She gave me my first like real DJ gig, and like I still play shows now because of her.
Mhm.
She's gotten me in touch with other artists and writers and stuff. And yeah, dude, she's absolutely changed my life. She's the best.
That is freaking sweet. Yeah, I've seen you guys. You've been sharing the stage. You've been
Yeah,
doing these DJ sets. You're doing an event tomorrow, right?
I am. Yeah, I play Underground Nexus. I met those guys through Melissa as well, so I'm excited to jump into that because those guys are very like they do a lot of like EDM stuff, but adjacent to the stuff that I used to really like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's come full circle in a way where it's like through my hard work and working hard and like being able to work with people, now I get to do the stuff that I also really wanted to do when I first started making music. Like it's super exciting to me.
Yeah, that is awesome. I'm excited for you, man. The
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And all right, so I saw on your Instagram story a couple months ago that you wanted to open for Porter Robinson on tour. What what would it mean for you to get that opportunity, and how would you
Man,
imagine it would shape your journey as an artist? And yeah, actually, I'll leave it at that for now.
yeah, I've never met the artists that are most important to me, and I'm 50-50 on whether or not I really do want to meet them.
Yeah.
Um, because it's like I don't get starstruck or anything like that, and I've met some incredible artists, and I love having conversations with them. But I really do get nervous of like I'm gonna look like a dummy when I talk to like I'm just nervous of like choking up and being like you're so important to me, you're the best, like I can't believe this, like
Hmm.
you know I do get nervous of stuff like that of whether or not like I'm gonna freak out, but yeah, I made that as like kind of like I was just trying to be funny, but also it's like, yeah, dude, like if I ever got that chance, like I would jump on it immediately to work with someone like Porter Robinson or Madian or something or underscores. Um, ah, and I was so upset because like I said, underscores is also one of my favorite artists, and she's opening for Porter Robinson on the European leg of the tour. I was so mad. I was so like, damn it, I they're living my life. They're living my life. Um,
You'll get
so
there, man.
so yeah, thank you. I
Yeah.
hope so, man. Like yeah, I love these artists so much, and they do mean a lot to me, and they have shaped me a lot, very much so. And if I ever got the chance to work with them, I'm sure I would learn so much, and it would change a lot uh, creatively.
Oh yeah, I would love to see that. And
Thank you.
yeah, of course. And are there what about, I guess we already mentioned it, like with like what about Porter Robinson inspires you? Like I know Sad I'm more of a casual Porter Robinson fan, like Sad Machine or
Yeah,
Goodbye to a World are like some of the songs that
yeah,
I know
yeah.
by him. So like
I
what
love
about
those songs.
him
Yeah,
inspires you?
in the same way that Zed has inspired me, that Madian's inspired me. Porter Robinson's in the exact same conversation. Porter
Mm.
Robinson, like I said, or maybe I didn't say, when I first got into electronic music, he was part of that wave of making like dirty electronic music. I believe he coined the term complextro. That's exactly what Infatuation is in my album.
Mm.
Like I'm still to this day making stuff that's like super glitchy, like stuff that he started writing when he first, or when he first dropped his project. Um, and yeah, there is no conversation about Maymung or Madian or something like that that doesn't involve Porter Robinson. Porter is a co-writer, co-producer on Clarity, so
Oh.
yeah, dude, yeah, he's literally in the gang vocals in the chants. Yeah, there is no conversation of these artists and this influence on me without Porter. He Yeah, like that the best show I ever went to was a collaboration of him and Madian. Uh, and I saw them at the Shrine in 2016. Still to this day, Shelter Tour, best live show I've ever seen. Cried like a baby. Was the most excited I ever was in my entire life. I got to bring my girlfriend and my buddy, and dude, like it was magic, magic. Porter, yeah, like I said, dude, like his early stuff was very dirty, very crazy stuff. He ended
Mm.
up getting onto Skrillex's label, Owsla at the time. I think he was the first release on that record label. Incredible project, Spitfire. Then he would go on to make Worlds, super beautiful pop, somewhat pop, very electronic, very indie electronic sound. And he was like one of the first people who was like, I'm getting away from like that festival sound of things. uh at the time he was like, Porter Robinson shows are not raves. Don't come over here with like your Indian headdress, disrespecting with totems and stuff like that. He was like, we're here, and I'm here to make art. And I remember at the time being like, I still like the festival style of music. I do agree with like the some of the problematic stuff, but I remember being like, I'm here for that. I was like 16 when Worlds dropped, when Sad Machine dropped, when Goodbye to a World dropped, and I was like, I used to load up the songs. I used to load up the songs on my phone, and I would go to choir competitions and sit in the back of the bus and just like jam out to Worlds, and it was so important to me. And then eventually he would go on to make damn, I guess like yeah, his the next project after Worlds was probably Nurture a few years ago. And dude, that's over my record too. Like Reflection, the drop in Daydream, all those were directly inspired by seeing Porter and like his live show. Um, yeah, dude, his art has always been like he's always been a trailblazer in music. It was really cool for his most recent record, like I said, that he ended up going and doing some rock and pop rock based stuff where it was like, hey, I'm kind of writing stuff like that too. Our music styles are similar. And funny thing about that that story that you brought up, how I said that, I was like, where I was holding my guitar and I was like, hey, we make similar music styles now. Like, you got to bring me on tour. And I tagged him in it and stuff like that. And I was like, I can break dance and I'm learning how to. The only thing I can't do is do a backflip. I was so pissed off because the next day or a couple days after that, he released a promo thing where like he was playing the song, but then he was breakdancing and he did a backflip. Excuse
Oh.
me. Oh, see, that's how upset I am. I was so mad. I was like, damn it, I can't do a backflip yet. And he's breaked and it, look, I found out later that it was a stunt double, but at the time,
I was this
I
close.
give up. I give up. There's nothing I can do.
No, when the day you do a backflip, I'm sure Porter Robinson will.
He'll give me a call.
Yeah.
I'm expecting.
Okay, I want to ask about the song "No Money" on the album.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try zeroing in on the album for a bit. "No Money," that one, like I mentioned earlier, like it's rock, it's dance, it's pop. And when you wrote that it was, you said "Infatuation's" your favorite song earlier, but when you were writing about "No Money," um, you said you liked it so much because of its personal story and genre-bending sounds. And I was just wondering, could you tell me more about that? Like, how did you approach the blending of those styles and telling that story of this American dream that has sort of gone sour and the
Yeah.
struggle for financial stability and to continue to dream?
Yeah, dude. No Money is so cool. That song is special to me in a way that like there was like 150 different versions, but I knew that I wasn't getting it, and like I finally was able to settle on like the version that you hear now. And it was like an amalgamation of like 50 different projects of just not getting it right. Um, I knew I needed to the aesthetic of the sound to be was like I needed to get that right before I was able to write great lyrics on top of it. Um, so I was like, when I finally achieved it, I was so happy. I probably didn't finish that until um, maybe March of this year. Like it was one of the last songs that I finished. It took forever. Um, and I knew what the subject matter of the song was going to be. So the song had to kind of sound like that in a cheeky way because I believe the song's in major. Um, I wanted it to be like very like oh no I for sure finished the song before I finished it this year early this year but the sound of it but the lyrics were still changing up until a couple months ago. um I yeah like I said I knew that the song was going to be about like that American dream thing where it's like I'm working all these jobs and at the time and like I'm still living check to check. It's not right. Like
Mm.
boss makes a dollar, I make a dime. You know, like I'm making. I remember thinking about it. Like I did the math on one day of like how much I was selling per customer as a bartender, and what I was taking home, and it was like I was making like maybe 1.5% of like total profits that I brought in.
Oh my god.
And I was like, I was even trying to factor in like, what is realistically like what are we getting from buying the product, distribution, and then also like transport? And it still kind of didn't add up. I was like, damn, they're getting a lot of money off of like my labor. And I remember just being like kind of radicalized by that, being like, damn, I should probably get paid more and we should all probably get paid a little bit more. Even just like a little bit, you know, just another percentage or two
Mm.
would probably change, you know, a lot for us. And so yeah, I was struggling a lot with the lyrics, and then my buddy Connor Glitter Beach came over and absolutely helped me knock it out of the park. He's such a brilliant writer. He's one of the most incredible writers I've ever worked with. Him and Dimitri. Um,
That's awesome.
but yeah, Connor really helped me like hone in what I was doing. He was there for like performance of it too. So I guess I should have credited him as like a partial producer because like I remember like there was vocal takes. I hit some high notes on that song, man, and like they're not easy to replicate, especially if like you record it like 6 months in between. Which a lot
Oh
of the
yeah.
album is kind of recorded like that, where it's like sometimes I build songs. I don't do it as much now, but sometimes with like when I'm writing my music, never with other people's music, I'll kind of like build little building blocks where it's like, okay, I got a verse here. Oh, now a chorus. Now I might do like a B section. That's why like my song structures are so funky because I build them like blocks. Sometimes.
Mm.
So No Money was the case of that where it's like I had a first verse back in September 2022, you know,
Mm.
and then I didn't record it again until January or February of 2024. So like my voice did shift a little bit, and I have to kind of make the second verse similar to the first verse. Like I could re-record it, but the take on that one was awesome. So yeah, it was funny. I ended up just like that song's really funny because the two verses do sound really radically different to me, even though there's
Yeah.
this it's the same melody. And it's just purely because like I didn't give a damn anymore. I was like, I'll just record it, and if it sounds funky, it sounds funky. And my buddy and Connor was like, "No, man, that's range." And I was like, "Hell yeah, that's a good way of looking at it." And so, like, I think they were recorded with like two different microphones. They were recorded like for sure with two different interfaces, preamps, and like I mixed them differently, but it works. It sounds cool. So yeah, that song is funny, and that Beetlejuice sample, like,
Mm.
oh man, when I first heard that, I love Beetlejuice, dude. Unironically, I don't think I Howard Stern's kind of a piece of shit for always like making fun of him and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but I genuinely think Beetlejuice is like super funny and really cool, and yeah, I just think he's like really cool, and I like it, even though he like the things that he's talking about, they do get skewed because of like his condition. I
Mm.
love his passion. Like I don't care, dude. Like his passion is so awesome. And so like when I heard that clip, and it's so funny because like I just like I do like how Howard and Howard and them react to what Beetlejuice is saying, where he's like, "It cost me $3,000," and they're like,
Why?
"Why?" Like, yeah. I do like, and he's like, not, he's just pissed off, and they're like, "What's going on? Like, what's happening?" Like, I loved that, and
Mm.
I've never really sampled something before, so that was scary to me because I was like, maybe he'll come after me, and maybe he still might, but I didn't clear that damn sample, and if it gets copyrighted, it gets copyrighted, but man, art is art, man. Do what you got to do.
Exactly.
And that clip was perfect for me. So
Mm.
yeah,
Beat would probably like it. BT's
I
a
hope so.
basic
I'll
guy.
send it to him. I haven't sent it to him. I'll see if I can send it to him.
Yeah. um. Also, so all the other features on this album: Race Car Bed, Glitter Beach, Kame. Um, and forgive me if I missed anybody with that list, excluding Melissa Brooks and Michi.
Yeah,
So, like, how do you know Connor slash Glitter Beach?
yeah. Connor's also another person we went to high school with. Um,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, we met him. I met him my junior year. He was like or maybe my sophomore year. It doesn't matter. He was a year younger than us. He ended up just hanging out with the kids that we hung out with, and then I know he took like bass lessons as a kid, and then I started making music. We started working together. I produced his first EP like way back in the day. Like if I don't even know if he wants me to mention that, but um, yeah, I produced his first EP back in the day. We worked together a little bit. Then he moved away, so we kind of went our separate ways. But then we ended up started working together. I played in a band of his for the last like year and a half. So we've been making music like there, and then he started coming over very much so and working on this album with me, and he helped me write a lot of the songs lyrically, and then yeah, and then so yeah, Connor's like I'm so happy we reconnected because we're making a lot of music together and working on his projects and working on stuff together. We want to start scoring stuff together, kind of like Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor. Um, yeah, so Connor just absolutely kicks ass. He's so knowledgeable and so cool and such a great style, and he's such a great friend, and he cares a lot. So yeah, that's how I met Connor.
That's awesome. Have so when you were in that band with him, what did you do in the band, and what was the name of the band?
Yeah, Foreign Flesh. We have a couple songs up. We were more of like kind of more of like a live band. We had a member quit, and we're dealing with stuff right now. But
Mm.
we'll see if we end up releasing the full length record that we were working on. Um, I played bass in that band. He hit me up one day and was like, "Do you want to form like a goth alternative project?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Sure." I was like, "Yeah, I'm working on my album, and that'll be like my like least priority, but I'm down." And Connor is just such a go getter. He like was like, let's link up this day, and like we started practicing with a couple guys, and we started talking about influence. It was like, and I love new wave stuff. I love post punk and dark wave stuff. So like the fact that he was like, I want it to sound kind of Joy Division, kind of Bauhaus, kind of Nine Inch Nails, a little bit, grungy, a little alternative. That was super exciting to me. I was like, hell yeah, dude! Like, let's do it. Like, you want to do Oingo Bungo stuff? Like, hell yeah, super '80s inspired. So we started like he started writing the music, and then he would bring it to me, and then I would kind of edit some stuff, and I played bass mostly,
Mhm.
um, and then I produced the records. So that was cool because I had played in a band before him where I just played keys for a buddy, but I didn't help write. I did produce, um, but so it was cool to be able to perform again, and this time as a bass player. Like I've never done that for anyone else's band before. Like for my stuff, for Maymung stuff, like when I was performing in 2019, I was
Mhm.
playing bass, guitar, and keys and singing. Um, so it was cool to like be able to take my bass out again and like play with them.
Mm.
But yeah, Foreign Flesh. That's that. Yeah, we played a couple shows.
Foreign Flesh, available everywhere.
Yeah.
The um, I remember earlier you said that you like you couldn't afford keys or a guitar. How were you able to learn them without the instrument in your house?
Yeah. So keys came first because on Ableton or on any music software, you input music on a piano roll. So
Yep.
I yeah, so it was like I at the time I was like making remixes or making little songs for myself, and it was like I don't need to learn music theory, but eventually it was like theory helps. It helps. So I would like go on websites where it would tell me the keys of songs. I eventually just memorized them because it was faster to memorize a key of a song than to go on a website and be like, okay, it's C, D, D sharp, F, G. It was like instead of doing that, it's like, oh, I'll just remember it. And then over time, like I did eventually get things like for Christmas or for birthdays or something like that. Like I got like little MIDI keyboards, $100 MIDI keyboards. When
Yep.
I eventually started working, when I got jobs, it's like then I was able to buy speakers. I eventually bought like a nicer laptop and whole setup. My girlfriend, like over the year, we've been together since I was 15, so like over the years, it's like she's gotten me so many incredible things like microphones, software, a desk, a producer desk. It's awesome. Um,
Mm.
and then also, you know what? It's so funny. People leave things at my house.
Yep.
So that's a little bit of lore that like the keyboard that I have now, the guitar that I learned guitar on was all because people came over and they brought their stuff and then they go, I'm just going to leave it here. I'll come pick it up another time. And they never pick it up. That's how I learned guitar. That's how I like got like a really nice MIDI keyboard. That's how I got like my first good microphone. People were just coming over and leaving stuff here, and I was
Wow.
like, okay. So yeah, like my room turned into a studio, and then the studio was just like filled with things that like weren't necessarily mine, but like I'm using and I'm using for other people, and so yeah, like the microphone that I used to record this entire album with, like, is a blue bird microphone.
It's a
It's
blue
not mine.
bird. Okay, that leads me into another question. With
This one.
me, okay, that. Okay, yeah, that's very different from the Blue Yeti that I'm recording on, cause and have been
Yeah,
using
yeah,
for years. Like it's the same microphone I used when we made Ignorance is Bliss 4 years ago.
yeah.
The
Phew.
one thing I was wondering is like, because like you might hear the way like my voice sounds right now. There's a little bit of reverb on it and stuff. How do
Yeah,
you? This
yeah.
this is a question for the artists out there. How do you isolate your vocals like that? Because is there a way, or did it just is the
Um,
sound in where you're recording just good?
the no, hell no. This room sucks. This
Yeah.
I have tile floors. I mean, I have a lot of stuff in here, so it is cool that like it does get diffused pretty well. I have three music panels up over there, but
Mm.
I mainly just use a SM58, um, the Bluebird microphone. I do have a vocal shield on here. It does do a little bit. It's kind of nice. It's from Sterling, just a little Sterling, and I have like a little pop filter as well. Um, but overall, I just kind of had to learn how to get good at like mixing audio. Uh, I've always made music out of my bedroom. I've gone to a studio a couple times, but it's primarily just been from my room. Uh, all of the Melissa Brooks songs, all of my songs, Foreign Flesh. We recorded drums in a studio once, but then it was like, you know what? It's just easier for us to go record in a house.
Mm.
um, so yeah, man, like I'm a big champion of do it yourself, of indie mixing and mastering and stuff like that. I've done it all from my room. I never had. This is new to me, like having good microphones. I used to use like my first thing was like a blue snowball,
Yep.
complete shit. But I had to learn how to like EQ a vocal. Like, okay, you know what? Presence is in 7K and above. If I want to kind of turn it up, without having to turn it up too much, boosting around like 4 to 8K will make a great like presence for your vocal. So um, it was a lot of like as my gear got better, I had to make sure like I had the fundamentals of mixing down first. Like once
Mm.
again, I don't have like the best gear. I have like a Behringer um what is it? The UMC 1820 now. I used to have the P4 or the smaller one. And it has good Midas preamps in it, but it's like nothing crazy. I don't have like I go straight into the interface and that goes straight into Ableton. And I have my little vocal chains. I have like my vocal chain probably is like tuning, um, compressing, EQ, multiband compression, and then another EQ. That's just like that's how I record vocals like that. Like I'll hear that in my headphones.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, man, if you heard the raw recordings of everything, it's like they're flat. They're very like there's a lot of room tone. Um, I do what I can, especially in the summers. It sucks because I have to turn the ceiling fan off and the
Oh
AC
yeah.
off, so it gets really hot in here. But like, I get the best recording that I possibly can. I think it sounds pretty damn good for just being in the center of a room underneath tile. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I would have
yeah. So
never guessed
it's that.
that, man.
That's funny, man. Yeah, yeah. That's that. I've never had anyone really ask me that before, so it's cool. Like, it's very DIY stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like when like as somebody who has, maybe it's because when I've gone to a studio, it's been more of a transactional thing that I feel like the vibes are off when I go to a studio. I think every time that I have people in my home studio or I go to like, somebody I know's house where they have a similar setup, the vibes are just right, man. I will always prefer the home studio setup
Yeah, yeah.
slash
Me too,
feel.
man. Yeah, for sure.
Um, all right, and I will before we wrap it up here. We're at an hour and 20 minutes. I'm gonna hit you with just some rapid fire questions. All right.
Yeah.
Favorite studio snack?
Espresso, so like coffee. I go to Coffee Bean a lot every time we record music.
Nice. Favorite album of 2024 so far?
My album.
Beautiful. Good answer. Uh, Dream venue to perform in?
The Shrine Expo Hall at the Shrine in LA.
Now, what's the shrine like?
Cool as hell. That's what it's like. It's next to UCLA. The Shrine, from what I don't know any. I have to look into the history about it, but I've been in there a few times. That's where I first saw Madian, and then that's where I most
Mm.
recently saw him. It's like this old timey theater. It's like at least themed like it's very
Oh,
like
that's.
1920s ish. It
Mhm.
is crazy. Like especially if like you're on the bottom level, the ceilings above you like it fits. It's got to fit a couple thousand, and it like moves. It's terrifying. And then when you're on top, it's like you're so far above, but you're close. So it's like I don't know how to explain
Oh,
it, man. It's wacky, dude. It's so cool.
I don't think I've ever been, but I think of well, I've definitely not ever been, but I think I've
Uh,
seen videos of it. It's like, is it like one of those decorative theaters where all the walls are decorative and like you have like the
yes,
stage right here that's like arcing. Wait a minute, I saw myself try to draw a picture with my finger and it threw me off. All right, so the stage is right here, and then you have like the upper level that's like kind of a similar
yeah,
shape to the stage. And like, yeah, I think I've seen some videos of that. That
yeah.
was
It's and
pretty
then
sweet.
dude, they have this crazy chandelier. Like it's just it's absolutely bonkers, man. Like that venue is crazy. I would love to play.
Yeah, that is awesome. That would be a vibe. Um, and what's next?
Good question, man. I'm working on a live show for the album. I don't have a lot of followers, and I'm not great at promotion. Um, I'm trying to learn how to get better at promo. I'm trying to learn how to I knew that this album wouldn't be a smash right out the gate. I just don't have the funds to be able to buy promotion. I don't have the connections or anything like that. But I do know that like I know that I made a great album. I worked really hard on it. I'm very proud of myself. I'm very fortunate for the people around me. I worked really, really, really hard on it. So I know I made a great product that's true to myself and that I think people can resonate with. It's just going to be a matter of getting it to the people. I knew that it was going to be a slow burn. It wasn't going to be, like I said, on the front end. It's all going to be on the back end. It's going to be putting in the work to show people what I did and what I can do as a producer, as a engineer, as a musician, singer, performer. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm working on live versions of the album right now. I'm still DJing for fun. It's really, really fun. I'm actually starting to get paid for it now too, which is
Oh, hell
that's
yeah.
a plus. That's something I wanted to do since I was a kid. So it's a big dream of mine. I like DJing a lot. It's really cool. Um, and I get to play like live versions of the songs. And like I said, I still love that world of electronic music. So I'm I could absolutely see. I'm producing a lot of stuff for other artists, writing songs. I'm trying to make money with music, and so
Mhm.
I'm trying to be like really get into the songwriting, the production, the engineering of it all with other artists and stuff like that. So I'm still writing for Maymung. I'm still making songs. Um, I probably won't write another album for a while. this
Mhm.
this was it was a lot, man. It was it was
It's a
it was
long
very
one. It's a
heavy.
long
It
time
was
since January of 2022.
yes, yeah. It took a very long time. There's a lot of highs and lows, and I definitely changed a lot through the writing of it. So what's next is keeping it going, man. Just nonstop. I'm trying to push. I'm trying to make art. Like we only have so many days left on this earth, so if I can spend the rest of them like busting it and making something cool and having fun, my life was worth it.
That's beautiful. I I agree. The reminder that we aren't here forever, I think, can expel all fear. If you look at it as an opportunity, if we look at what we do as an opportunity and just freaking
Yeah.
make the leap, we can do anything. And I believe in you, man.
Oh
The
yeah.
album was
Thank you. Thank
fantastic.
you.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Appreciate
Um,
it, man.
yeah, man. But this has been the interview with Raymond Amaya, Maymung, Big Mungus. His album's available everywhere. It's called Maymung Sucks. The album doesn't. Go check it out. Tidal, Spotify, Apple Music. YouTube. Is it on SoundCloud?
Yep. It's on everything.
SoundCloud, everything. Go check it out.